Hello and welcome to another edition of Plus One with Joey from the Item. It's a the school athletic season officially kicked off this week. We're here. Joey's here. They started off with soccer. I ain't doing all that. There's city tournaments going on, right? We got semifinals on the weekend coming up. Some teams punched their tickets already. How was? I don't know if you were there yesterday.
Yeah. So the Lynn Tech, Lynn Classical, Lynn English, and St. Mary's girls squared off yesterday. Tuesday with Classical and St. Mary's winning, so they're going to meet Saturday for the championship game. While we're taping, the boys are squaring off at Manning Field, and just a lot of fun. It's great to be back out there and seeing the energy. It's early in the season, so everyone's kind of fired up and hoping they can go a long way.
And it's nice out too. It's good weather in September. So yeah, it's it's that time of the year, folks. It's that time where we're all just he out there 5 days a week. I'm out there 4. So. So it's all good. We got to talk about the football season in the city of Lynn. I mean, this year I didn't do as many preseason camps like I normally do, go around chatting with the players and coaches, but you did. And you got some stories up there about we're gonna dive into some of these teams this season. But what was like your overall viewpoint assessment from when you when you dropped by each team's practice and talked to the players and coaches?
Yeah. So. I mean, before we even get to, the action on the field, all 5 coaches, incredibly good men. Mm-hmm. I enjoy talking to them all. The newest one to the crew is Brian Smith with Lynn Classical, who replaced Brian Vaughn.
Right.
He's at Arlington Catholic now?
Yes.
So, no, I really enjoyed talking to Coach Smith. He fits in well with the passion that I think Lynn has for football.
Right.
High school football. So camps have been going well. Every team feels, invigorated and excited, and definitely have been in the weight room working on their games. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I think last year the only team that didn't make the postseason was Lynn Classical, correct? If I'm correct, right? No, Lynn Classical and Lynn Tech were the only two that didn't make the postseason last year, and I think the Tech had a chance to make the postseason last year, and then Lynn Classical they just had a lot of misfortune as far as health-wise last season that kind of derailed them. So, but let's start off with Friday night. We have a doubleheader Friday night. St. Mary's is kicking things off against Swampscott for another year in a row. I think this is the 3rd year in a row they're playing each other. The last year it came down to the wire. St. Mary's, they didn't graduate too many guys, but they graduated some key pieces, but they still have the talent there. And they're still, when we think about St. Mary's, we're going to think about the physicality and the running game. That's probably going to be their bread and butter.
Absolutely. They had a 3-headed monster last year at running back, and I think they've got another one this year. We got Rowan Merriman, Jimmy Jennings, and Tyron Hound from Classical,
right?
Who we've covered a lot. He's a great player.
Yeah.
And Yaniel Belliard, forgive me if I pronounced that incorrectly.
The QB.
But at quarterback, he's a runner too. So Swampscott really needs to bring its tackling game and its toughness game, because St. Mary's is going to be putting its head down and trying to get those extra yards. 13-12 last year in favor of St. Mary's. Came down to the wire. There were some flags. It was a fun environment at night. So I'm expecting and hoping for the same thing. Yeah.
And one thing I'll say about the Spartans is they have the strategy of wearing teams down, as you just said. They might have this year they probably have a 3-4-headed backfield, which if we're including the quarterback as a threat in the run game, and they also have some big physical offensive linemen, and a lot of those linemen were young last year. I think they got a good amount of underclassmen on that line, but that got decent amount of playing time last year, or some even started. So that O-line, I'm interested to see how that offensive line, how they mesh this year, because if they're as good as I think they can be on that line, it's gonna be hard to beat them, because a running game is really it's exhausting and it kills time.
It's exhausting, it kills time, and also this program just doesn't need to rebuild or anything. Like we cover a lot of teams and schools, Eastern Massachusetts, that they are rebuilding right now.
Right.
They know it, and that's fine. But St. Mary's, they've got returning players. They've got Coach Sean Driscoll. He's been there before. And if you ask him what the goals are, he's going to say the state championship.
Right.
So they're not in a rebuilding mode. I think they just want to pick up where they left off.
Right. And they, as you said, they had a good season last year. I think they lost in like the second round of the postseason or something like that, but it was still good. But yeah, the talent is definitely there. I can see them making a deep run in this year's state tournament. They reached there, but yeah, as far as talent-wise, there's a lot of pieces that they have, and not only returning, there's a few guys that transferred in too. That's going to be key for them, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Oh yeah, and Swampscott's tough too, and athletic. They prided themselves a lot on the return game, the run game, just being tough. Coach Peter Bush loves that. He's in year 3 now, I believe. So that's just another season for him too, to kind of get his identity down, his culture down, his play style down. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I think they have Will Bush, the running back, returning. They have Noah Bascon, the receiver. The quarterback is back. I believe their quarterback is back. So Swampscott's another team. They got a good amount of returning players in key and important positions there. So yeah, I think it should be a really good matchup Friday night, because the last 2 times those two teams have played, it's really literally has come down to the wire. So.
And I wonder if the 5 o'clock start could affect anyone, because you got to think school ends at what time?
2:30.
Yeah, so you never know.
Yeah,
sometimes you hear it from coaches who lose, but
I say it'd have an effect if Swampscott was like an hour away.
That's true.
But it's only
hopefully everyone just is on their A game.
Yeah, it's only a 10-minute.
It's week 1, right?
Yeah, it's only a 10-minute ride, so they might even get dismissed early, and they might get to the Manning by 3. I mean, I think they got enough time from after they leave school to get to Manning by 3:30, 4 o'clock.
I'm just saying, like, if they're they're in school all day, and then instead of doing a night routine like usual, they got a 5 o'clock kickoff. Yeah. A little different.
A little bit, but
not much.
Yeah, they should be used to it by now. They should be used to it. But the 5 p.m. starts, those are. I understand. Oh my God. I get why they do it, just because of they have to schedule these games and stuff like that. So, but yeah, 5 p.m. start on a Friday is. But the second game of the doubleheader, it is Lynn English taking on Marblehead. These two former Northeastern Conference foes before the Bulldogs departed for the Greater Boston League. So there's history there. Used to play a lot back in the day, but. Marblehead, this team that just a couple years ago, I believe they won the state. They were in the state title game a couple years ago, or they had a really good season a couple seasons ago, and then I think last year they had a lot of injuries to their team. But from what I've heard, I don't know much about the program, but from what I heard from people that's seen them during 7-on-7s, they said this should be a pretty good season for them, for Marblehead. And for English, Coach McDonald's second year. Last year, they made the playoffs last year, but they graduated so many guys last season. But they have new guys that are willing to step up. So, and you're putting Shane Knowlton at quarterback, moving him from receiver to quarterback. There's a lot of young guys, freshmen that have come into the program that are going to be on the field a lot. And then you got some other freshmen from last year that are sophomores now that are going to have their roles increase even more. So this Bulldogs team, I'm definitely interested to see how it looks with a lot of the changes that they've made just from graduations.
Very interested in English, and on the Marblehead side of things, you're right. 2 years ago, they had a pretty deep run, semifinals, I believe. Last year, some off-the-field stuff affected. There was a teacher's strike in Marblehead, and they didn't have their coach in the tournament game. So it was, they're back, basically, and they're complete. And Marblehead, when we have covered them, they tend to, not always, but they have started slow before.
So starts to the season.
If English can catch them kind of in, a time where they're finding their groove,
All right.
It's going to be a really good game.
Yeah.
you know, I will spoil our staff predictions, but all really close with English and Marblehead. And I just think with the Bulldogs, you went 7-3 last year. You kind of reestablished yourself as a pretty strong program, and now it's about going to that next level. And we know Tyler definitely wants that.
Yeah, so we're going to tell a lot because the first series, we're going to see how things are going to transpire with Shane being quarterback and just how the play calling. I want to see the play calling earlier, how they run stuff. But I didn't even mention this young man's name, Xavier Beauchamp. The leading rusher from last season. He's back, so that's a big relief for the quarterback. You got that running game, and there was some young guys on the offensive line. There's going to be I know there's going to be a couple sophomores starting. I think it was to see if there's a couple juniors, but that line might be that offensive line might be a little bit young, but I think they should be all right. So they run the ball effectively to early on before they open things up, or open their playbook up, I should say.
I agree. If English can establish the run early, put some pressure on Marblehead, and then because as great of an athlete as Shane is, a 7:30 game against Marblehead is Friday Night Lights. That's a tough environment. I think he can do it totally fine. But if the run game can kind of establish itself that first quarter and a half, I think he's going to be a lot more confident throwing the ball. As they go.
Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're using the run game to open up the pass game, and they don't before they start going into those intermediate and deep throws. They start off with early short passes, and because like I said, they have some young guys that are really good in the open field. So if they could get the ball out quick to them and let them work in space and the yards after catch, I think that'll be very big. But yeah, this is gonna be an exciting year. I definitely want to see just like how the offense looks these first couple games, because it's not their first couple games aren't easy at all. Aren't easy at all. But we'll see. And then also I want to see the defense too. Let's see what happens on the defensive side of the ball. Like you said, graduating so many guys on the defensive side of the ball too. So we'll see. But that will close out Friday night. So if you're not there, head over to Manning Friday night. Y'all ain't got nothing to do. Head over to Manning, check them out. And then they get right back to it Saturday afternoon, I believe. Well, Saturday, it's a full day of action at Manning Field because we got the championships in soccer. And then in the afternoon, football. In the afternoon, Lynn Classical in Lawrence is kicking this off. A new era for Lynn Classical. A lot of changes in the program. A lot of new faces. Only returner I can think off the top of my head is Thomas Nolan, who I have as one of my preseason Player of the Year awards, because he's going to be playing linebacker and running back, I believe, too. So, and as you said, Angel Ortega is the quarterback. I know the last name. I just got to put name to face. And then Coach Smith, a Lynn Classical guy. He's a Lynn Classical alum, returning home after I heard he was in South Carolina also for some years before coming back up here, working with Lynn Rams. He was working with the Lynn Rams, and let's see what he does. So he might have a vast mind of what he wants the program to be for him as a head coach. So first year coach, you get Lawrence at home, ain't nothing better.
It's a great test. And just talking to Coach Smith, speaking of, he's been around a while. He's new to being the head coach of Classical, but 23 years, I think, down, in those southern areas coaching. He's won there, tournament games. He's won, coaching awards. He's a real deal, and I think it was the right play. And you mentioned Tommy Nolan. That guy is a tank. He's a strong kid, and also Gianni McKay. He's pretty.
Gianni, how could I forget Gianni? I see his dad all the time at the basketball games. His dad, I always talk to his dad at the basketball games. So, my bad, Gianni. How could I forget about him? Right.
He's a very versatile player.
Yeah.
And he's fast and he's good and he plays on both ends of the ball.
Right.
Excited to watch them. And talking to Coach Smith, I met him once in person and then we talked on the phone another time, and he loves that toughness word. Toughness. And that's what he wants in his identity. That's what he wants Classical to be, just like the old times, is what he said. And I'm like you said, a great opportunity with Lawrence at home.
And one thing we can't overlook, they have a really, really big offensive line. They have some big boys on that offensive line. So we all know the games are won in the trenches. So you gotta. He's an old school coach. From what I've told, he's pretty old school. He's a pretty old school guy. So I think we're gonna see a lot of that bruising running game. We might see a lot of that with Nolan and Gianni.
And as much as I really like the move, and I think he's going to do a great job, it might take time.
Right.
Like we root for another team in New England that plays football, and they just got a new coach.
Right.
And I don't expect I don't expect an AFC championship this year.
Right.
So it's like, there could still be a lot of positives if you drop a couple games, but as long as you're learning from that, right? It'll be fine.
And I think there's a lot of those players on the classical team that have something to prove because of just everything that happened in the offseason, and they might look at it as some, I don't know if they feel that way, but they might look at it as, some guys gave up on them or, gave up on the program. I'm not saying that's the case, but they might view it in that way and use that as motivation for themselves. Because those guys that did stay and that didn't transfer, they probably feel like this season they have something to prove. So we might, if they come out, start the season off with a big performance, it might, be a little catapult for what happens down the road. But hey man, I looked at their schedule. You never know. That's why you play the game. That's why you play the game. But yeah, as you said, definitely interested to see year one in Coach Smith's tenure, just how he's going to set the tone to get the program to what it is. But the rumbles are, I ain't say it, but people said it, that they might have the worst record of all the Lynn teams this year. Don't quote me. This is just what I heard.
Why you play the game?
That's why you play the game, man. You didn't hear that. I ain't saying it, but that's just word on the street. That's what the word on the street is. We're closing out week one with Kip Academy and Salem. These two teams played last season, correct? In Salem, that was a big win for Kip, going on the road in Salem. Now they are back. Kip, man, one thing about Kip, they put up a lot of points. We all know that. And Eli Machado, I give this guy a lot of praise, but I think he's going to have another big season for them. I think we saw down the stretch of the season, he really got things going. He really was settled in, and I think he'll just carry over this season.
I mean, you and I were just talking, the coaching staff is telling us he's grown a little bit, and 6'5", or he's a great player.
He's a big boy.
And he's got speed and athleticism too. And those are kind of the keys for Kip, I think, this year. Coach Rabbit will tell you that. And a lot of their players have kind of played important games and, been there. And Saturday night against a somewhat, nearby team in Salem, that's a fun one. And you really want to come out and start strong. And a Lynn school versus Salem, that's fun.
Right, and there's a lot of speed with Kip at the skill positions, a lot of speed at the receiver position, and there's a lot of guys that can make plays. They got a lot of playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. So through this program's history, we've seen that they always have a set of guys that could be big time playmakers on there. So yeah, this is a good way to close out week one. It's a good way to close out first week of football action at Manning Field. But I think I mean, you guys gonna have your predictions out by tomorrow or today or
Friday morning?
Friday morning. Yeah. I'll have mine tomorrow. I'll put mine on my Instagram story. You'll see who I got. But that's definitely great. Football is back, so make sure you check them out. As we said, things start off at Manning Field, 5:00 Friday, 7:30. Is the classical game 5:00?
5:00
on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Another 5:00 game Saturday, and then 7:30. And then if you want to catch some soccer action, go ahead too. There's the championship games that'll start things off on Saturday afternoon. So it should be a good time, man. I'm excited.
I'm pumped.
I'm excited. But once we get to October, November, when the temperature drops, my excitement might go away. And it's not because of the play on the field. It's because of the weather. The weather change. Stories. What do you have up? I know you talked about you got stories on classical, Kip, and Tech. What other stories you got up?
Yeah, we've got columns this week. We've got predictions coming out Friday morning. We're covering, field hockey, golf, all the fun stuff, and football will be there. Excited to kick things off, no pun intended, with St. Mary's and Swampscott. So it's going to be a happy Friday.
Definitely will be a happy Friday. I'd ask him now, but I'll probably ask him. Actually, I'll ask him now and next week. But first, there's a big fight coming up, September 13th, in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium. Just, I'll ask you for your prediction next week. But
okay.
But first of all, what are just your thoughts on the whole night with the undercards and the main fight? Like, which fights are you looking forward to seeing in the undercard, and just your first initial thoughts on Crawford and Canelo?
Yeah, obviously that's the main course, but Callum Walsh, that Irish prospect, I don't know if he's that anymore. He's 14-0. I've seen him in person, because I'm a big boxing fan, and he was fighting at the Agganis Center in Boston.
Whoa.
So some buddies and I went, and he's the real deal. And I'm so excited for him to get this kind of co-main event on the biggest event of the year.
Right.
Live on Netflix, doesn't get much bigger than that. So I'm hoping Callum Walsh gets the win. But Ireland versus Mexico, that should bring a lot of great fans to the arena. And then I'm happy you're giving me another week to think about Canelo Crawford, because I don't know.
Right.
Canelo could stop him if he really lands on the chin, but I think if he doesn't knock out Crawford will have him on points. So I don't know.
Yeah, all right. Well, he'll have his prediction next week. Might try a little something different next week. We might try to have some of the coaches call in next week when we do this next. We're gonna try it out. I'm gonna politic with them and see if they can, because during the time we film, they usually get ready for practice. But I'm gonna try. We gonna get them to call in or something, and do something. We gotta make this a little more interactive. We'll see what their thoughts are after each game. That might be a week. I'm gonna try to make that a weekly thing, but I can't make no promises. But we'll see how next week goes, and then just overall, if you're looking for games, there's a lot of great games going around the state. St. John's Prep and Springfield Central taking on each other at St. John's Prep on Friday. Bishop Feheen hosting Zavarian, which is, that's going to be a big one. Leominster taking on St. John's Shrewsbury. That's another big one. So there's a lot of really good matchups in week one. So make sure you go check them out. Yeah, make sure you follow Joey on Instagram. Make sure you go read his stories. go read and go subscribe to the item and all that good stuff. We're out of here. We'll see y'all next week.